You are watching AYV Television.
Here's how to send money overseas using AfriMoney and BNB. Dial *161#. Select option 1. Go to option 6 for overseas money. Press 1 for BNB. You'll see the list of countries you can send to. Enter receiver's full name. Enter the receiver's phone number. Enter the amount you want to send. Enter your PIN to confirm. You will receive an SMS confirming your transaction. Terms and conditions applied.
All right, good morning Freetown, good morning Sierra Leone. Hearty welcome to the program Wake Up Sierra Leone here on the Africa Young Voices Media Empire. You're also hearing us on radio this morning on 101.7 FM. My name is Victor Jones.
And I am Phoebian Sweel. Whether you're watching or listening to us this morning from the provincial areas or here in the capital city, Freetown, either on channel 33 or watching or listening to us on DSTV channel 399 from across Africa or wherever in the world, we say good morning and a pleasant welcome to Wake Up Sierra Leone.
Indeed, and you can also watch us online from around the world on this beautiful day. It's the 10th day in the month of August 2026. Welcome to the 8th month of the year.
We're broadcasting live from the top of Tower Hill in the heart of the city, Freetown. You can send us your comments through our socials on AYV News Facebook page on the stories that we cover.
All right, coming up this morning, President's Bureau on Friday has formally opened the 4th session of the 6th Parliament of the Second Republic, held at the Well of Parliament on Tower Hill in Freetown. The constitutional event featured an address by the President to lawmakers, dignitaries and senior government officials.
In accordance with Section 84(3) of the 1991 Constitution, President Bio delivered his national address outlining his administration's development initiatives, economic progress and legislative priorities for the upcoming year, including his Big Five agenda. We shall be discussing successes, challenges and the way forward.
We shall also continue the conversation on the debate on the amendments of the 1991 Constitution, as members of Parliament are expected to vote on these clauses on 2/3 majority decided today.
And we'll also bring you President Bio's address to the nation ahead of today's vote on the amendment of the Constitution in Parliament, an address that was broadcast yesterday.
But before all of that happens, let's take a quick message from our sponsors, Wakeup Commercial Bank. Should be followed by our advertisers. Shall be back in a jiffy.
More and more people are using Wakeup SIM Copper Plus in their everyday lives. Did you hear that? She just transferred money for her daughter's school fees. And this man just paid for some products. Mr. Abu, are you sending money to your wife again?
Yes, Wakeup SIM Copper. Yes, like having money in my pocket.
Excellent.
Thank you.
He just bought some eggs. The world is digital, so keep up with the times. Have you got a payment to make? If so, just download Wakeup SIM Copper Plus now. You can download the Wakeup SIM Copper Plus app from Apple iStore and iPad or Google Play Store for Android users. You see, it's fast, safe and reliable.
Morning. Ria, give me 30 leones top up. Thank you. Hello, babe. How you dey do? Talk to Buba.
Hello? Hello?
Don't settle for a provider that cuts into your data and airtime.
Ria, give me all the 30 deals.
AfriCell gives you full value. AfriCell, now we network.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I can take money, 2 MoneyGram.
Welcome our PC Foreign Exchange Bureau head office. Sit down.
Thank you.
You can write them.
Waiting that mean?
Where you can take money through MoneyGram, Western Union, and any PC and Son shop, including the head office. You do get 1% cashback instant. Yes, ma. Enough tap deal. Every Thursday we can collect money. Now 59 Wellington Street. You say you showing at the head office for the foreign exchange. You do get 1% of that money you can collect plus additional gifts.
Wow! You mean say for me 1% I dey get gifts?
Yes, ma.
Waiting at the gift.
You dey get gifts like 5 kg paddy jasmine rice. You dey get gifts like paddy oil, paddy milk, paddy mayonnaise, and plenty other paddy things then.
Una, thank you.
You're welcome. And now you can call up and only go give you an lucky win and see what you go win you say.
Wait till you dey wait. No miss out on the Thursday special.
PC Foreign Exchange Bureau, the 1% the game plus Thursday special.
Right, welcome back. This is Wake Up Leone here on the Africa Young Voices Media Empire. Our President Julius Maada on Friday opened the 4th session of the 6th Parliament of the Second Republic pursuant to Section 84(3 of the 1991 Constitution. With a warm welcome and appreciation, he tendered his address to the nation, highlighting gains made and challenges in the Big Five agenda. President Bio noted the country's economy battles with contending global shocks, yet remaining stable, though inflation stands at a double digit. The president also reiterated commitment to fight the frequent concerns of drugs in the country and also urged for political inclusivity. Aliu Bangura captured the footage while Tony Sawyer filed in the report.
Present the main opposition APC.
The fountain of honor and head of state darkens the well. A huge galaxy of parliamentarians, ministers, diplomats, and well-wishers await with attentive ears and gazing eyes for his address. He proceeds to give an account of the mantle given to him by the people.
This state opening is a moment of national accountability. A time to examine progress honestly, face unfinished work, and renew our responsibility to the people. Public office is a sacred trust. Authority belongs ultimately to the people.
President Bio further speaks to the current state of his Big Five and the impact on citizens.
I begin with food salon because food security affects every household and offers one of our greatest opportunities for jobs, investment, and rural transformation. Rice production increased in 2025, raising self-sufficiency from 68% in 2023 to 73%, and reducing our rice import bill by more than 18 million United States dollars. Human capital development, basic and senior secondary education. The $15.3 million Salon Picking for Land and Initiative gives over 29,000 children vocational programs now connect training more closely to apprenticeship and employment. Education creates opportunity. Health enables our people to realize it. Maternal mortality fell 70% over the last decade. The CLSG Rural Electrification Project has provided 12,000 connections in over 25 communities.
The president acknowledged and confirmed the drug influx while assuring citizens of independent investigation.
Reports, of course, linking Sierra Leone to illegal drug trafficking are deeply concerning. We strengthen maritime surveillance, cargo inspection, and coordination among custom, port, law enforcement, and intelligence agencies.
After weeks of what sparked debate in the political arena, the discontinuation of charges against former President Koroma, President Bio finally breaks the silence.
I acknowledge the decision of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice under Section 45 of the Criminal Procedure Act 2024 to discontinue proceedings against former President. President Koroma remains part of our national history, and I trust he will continue to support Sierra Leone's peace, unity, and democracy.
While concluding his address, he promises to transform citizens' lives as against next state opening.
Before the next state opening of Parliament, we will increase food production in this country. We will expand electricity and clean water, complete priority roads and bridges, and improve healthcare and education.
The address stands as a document that will influence the government's pathway in the years ahead. The account given and commitments made shall be judged by its impacts in the ordinary man's life. In a future date, the House shall debate the document for 5 days, critiquing it and providing solutions to problems. Samuel Tony Sawyer, AYV News, Freetown.
Now, many thanks to Samuel Tony Sawyer for that report. Following the state opening on Friday, the President on Sunday morning addressed the nation ahead of the vote on the Constitution of Sierra Leone Amendments Bill 2025. Here is just a highlight from the President.
Award winner for a reason. We produce only award winner for a reason. We produce only the.
Today, I address you not only in my capacity as president, but also as a fellow citizen who has journeyed with this nation through some of its darkest and most defining moments. I want to speak to you today about the Constitution of Sierra Leone Amendment Bill, a historic piece of legislation that represents the culmination of decades of national dialogue and offers Parliament an opportunity to strengthen our democracy for generations to come. 30 years ago, in 1996, I was entrusted with the responsibility of leading Sierra Leone as head of state. During that period, I made a decision that shaped my life and I believe helped shape the cause of our nation. I initiated negotiations with the Revolutionary United Front, oversaw the conduct of democratic elections, and returned Sierra Leone to civilian rule. Those steps contributed to the Leone Peace Agreement of 1999, which brought our brutal civil war to an end and gave our people the opportunity to rebuild on the foundations of peace, democracy, and national unity. The Leone Agreement called for the review of our Constitution. By ratifying that agreement into law through the Leone Peace Agreement Ratification Act 1999, we recognized that the 1991 Constitution, although historic and important, did not fully address the aspirations of a nation emerging from conflict and seeking greater inclusion, justice, stability, and accountability. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission, established to examine the cause of our civil war, reached a similar conclusion. For more than 2 decades, successive governments, commissions, civil society organizations, and ordinary citizens have sustained the call for constitutional reform. The constitutional review process began under the late President Ahmed Tijan Kaba of blessed memory, who established the Dr. Peter Tucker Constitutional Review Committee. The committee submitted its report to former President Ernest Bai Koroma, who concluded that a broader and more inclusive process was necessary. He therefore established the Justice Edmund Cowan Constitutional Review Committee. The Cowan Committee, an 80-member body, undertook the most extensive constitutional review in our nation's history. Between 2013 and 2017, it conducted more than 10,000 public consultations across the nation, engaged 133 stakeholder groups, received 150 position papers, broadcast over 20,000 hours of airtime, and distributed more than 70,000 consultation forms throughout every district in this country. That was a truly national process, not a partisan exercise. The committee submitted its report to former President Nkrumah in 2017. When my government assumed office in 2018, we did not abandon that work, nor did we seek to begin the process anew. We built upon the foundation already laid. As I have consistently stated, our determination has been to bring this long-standing national assignment to completion. And in my recent capacity as chairman of ECOWAS, I worked to uphold and defend the principle of democracy and good governance across the region. Over the past several years, we have continued to consult widely with stakeholders across the country. We have listened, considered, refined, and presented this bill as part of a constitutional reform process that has crossed administrations, political parties, and generations. Now, that responsibility rests with Parliament, the institution entrusted by the people to represent their will and protect the national interest. Fellow Sierra Leoneans, the bill before Parliament is the product of years of consultation and engagement. It reflects the contribution of citizens from every district, community, and sector of our society. It also contains key reforms that have received agreement and support under previous governments. Among the provisions, it introduces proportional representation to broaden participation and give women and young people, professionals and minority groups a fairer opportunity to be represented in the corridors of power. It enshrines a minimum 30% quota for women in political nominations, transforming inclusion from a statement of aspiration into an enforceable constitutional commitment. It also strengthens the independence and accountability of our electoral institutions, helping to ensure that the rules governing our democracy are fair, transparent, credible, and trusted by all. I commend citizens and stakeholders who have continued to attend parliamentary debates, followed the proceedings, and contributed to this national conversation. Your patience, vigilance, and commitment demonstrates that constitutional reform belongs to the people. I also recognize and commend honorable members of parliament who have remained in the chamber through long hours of debate and deliberations. Your duty is demanding, but the significance of this moment requires perseverance, genuineness, seriousness, and a willingness to place national interest above personal or partisan considerations. Honorable members of parliament, I appeal to your sense of duty. The decision before you will not end with the vote. It will be remembered by generations yet unborn. It will help determine whether Sierra Leone continues to advance its democracy or allows constitutional uncertainty and exclusion to persist. Your decision will influence whether our daughters will inherit a constitution that recognizes their equal rights to lead, whether our young people are given a meaningful voice in shaping their future, and whether citizens continue to believe that Parliament can rise above division and act in the interest of the entire nation. Some may ask, why now? Why focus on electoral reforms? The answer is simple and clear. Our next general elections are approaching. If we delay, we risk conducting them under rules that the government, the opposition, civil society, citizens, and several election observer missions have all recognized as requiring reform. Constitutional and electoral changes must be made before elections, not when it is very close for voters to cast their vote. This is the principle recognized by the African Union, ECOWAS, and the United Nations. And it is essential to protecting democracy from uncertainty, manipulation, and confusion. Let me also address those who believe that the present constitution is perfect and that the only problem lies in how the Supreme Court has interpreted it. If that is the concern, then Parliament must now provide the necessary clarity. The responsibility of Parliament is not merely to defend the text of the Constitution, but to safeguard its meaning, strengthen its application, and ensure that it continues to serve the people of Sierra Leone. A constitution is not designed for only one political party. It is not the property of one government, one institution, or one group. It must carry the aspirations, rights, hopes, and dreams of all citizens. It must enable the country to move forward, promote inclusion, protect democracy, make Sierra Leone more progressive. Honorable members, when you enter the chamber to cast your votes, I ask you to look beyond the present political moment. Listen to the voices of the citizens who have participated in the consultations. Remember the women who have waited for greater representation. Remember the young people who seek a place in determining their own future. Remember the communities that have contributed to this process with patience and hope. Do not vote for me. Do not vote for this government. Do not vote for any political party. Vote for Sierra Leone. Vote yes for inclusion. Vote yes for women. Vote yes for the youth. Vote yes for credible elections. Vote yes for a stronger democracy. Vote yes for the future of our beloved nation. In 1996, I took steps to return Sierra Leone to its people through the return of multi-party democracy. Now, I ask Parliament to take the next historic step to give Sierra Leone a stronger and more inclusive constitution. This is the moment to rise above politics. This is the moment to honor the sacrifices of our people. This is the moment to complete a process that has continued across successive administrations and endured for more than 2 decades. I therefore make a clear and solemn appeal. Let this bill be passed now. Let honorable members vote yes, not for a party, not for an individual, but for the people and future of democracy in Sierra Leone. May history record that at this critical hour, Parliament chose country over division, progress over stagnation, and a stronger democracy for generations to come. I thank you all. God bless you. God bless the Republic of Sierra Leone, the land that we love.
From that presidential address, we return to our main studio to discuss all of these. We have Alhaji Alpha Kanu, presidential spokesman, Sidi Yaya Tunis, National Publicity Secretary of the All People's Congress, and Reverend Father Dr. Leonard Omar Bangura, Head of the Department of Political Science at Frabe College, University of Sierra Leone. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Fabian. It's always a pleasure.
We'll start off with you, the presidential spokesman. In about 48 hours between the two speeches, the President had addressed the nation in Parliament. About 48 hours later, there was a presidential address. Again, what may seem to some as perhaps an attempt to prejudice the votes by the MPs today in Parliament, but what really necessitated that presidential address? Again, coming from the background that President on Friday was in Parliament addressing the nation.
Thank you very much. The constitutional review was not part of the President's items for the report card he had to give in the presidential address in Parliament. The constitutional review has been in the works for a very long time, while the presidential address items that it addresses are items that have happened within the year since 2025 to now. But this constitutional review has been in the works for a very long time. You remember that the 1991 Constitution was actually midwifed by former President Joseph Saidu Momo when he thought and believed that the country needed to widen political inclusion by opening up for other parties to come in. So they had to do away with the 1978 Constitution, which was a one-party constitution, to allow multi-party constitution. And there, of course, because it's a transition, and it was, I'd say, they were in a hurry. It was being done in 1991 to meet up for elections in 1992. So, of course, there will be some lacunae, which would have been skipped over or just accepted as they are. So when war broke, in that same year, and at the end of the day, we had to go into a peace negotiation with the RAF, which itself was actually initiated by, initiated by the Excellency President Julius Maada Bio, then in 1996, actually initiated that. In that Leone Peace Accord, there was a condition that we should look at the 1991 Constitution for review.
While the history is relevant and necessary
it is
to
most
be told,
important. It is most important.
What impact was this presidential address
That's where
meant
I'm coming. That is where I'm coming. You know, we look for society, work your foot before you go for them. So the process that came from there has been followed by TRC, which also recommends the constitutional review, and has been followed also by the Peter Tucker constitutional review.
It doesn't give me pleasure to interrupt you with this, but much of what you're saying, we spent few minutes listening to the president say much of what you're saying now.
But you asked me,
yeah,
and I'm telling you.
So what you're saying now is what the president had said already in that address. The question is, what really necessitated that address? Coming that Friday, he was in Parliament. Yeah. He spoke in bits about some of these things, but what impact is this address meant to have, being that the MPs are voting this morning or are expected to vote this morning?
Don't forget that the president is the leader of the SLPP. And his party's position is that the PR is good. And he would be very happy that if the PR is voted in, this constitutional review passes Parliament, then the achievement of his the objectives of his party would have been achieved. And what is this objective? The objective is to create a peaceful environment for elections in Sierra Leone. The objective is to make sure that our election laws sort of adhere to what previous reviews have done. And that is what he's doing as a president who's patriotic. So he has to appeal. He's the last voice in this country. He has to appeal to the MPs to think beyond party, to think beyond him, because there will be a time when he will not be president. Think beyond him. Think for the future of the children. Think for the women. Think about the peace of the country. We know that with the PR, we hardly have violence erupting over elections and all that kind of thing. So he's appealing to us to make sure that we make the right decision. The president is not asking us to make a new constitution. All he's saying is that we need a Magna Carta type of constitution, the one that makes sure that the people's interests are taken into consideration, and that is what he's been doing. So to come out and say, I appeal to you, he's saying that this is my position, and I would be happy if you do it. It is not coercion.
Reverend Father, the president also, in this address to the nation, in all he said, he also came to a point where he was admonishing the MPs, do not vote for me. But the president has reiterated his stance. He prefers the PR system. And obviously, the SLPP MPs in Parliament are backing the president's desire for a PR system. He addresses the nation, giving again more justification why the PR system is relevant. But he ends by saying the MPs should not vote for him. They should vote for what's in the best interest of the country. Is this in any way really supporting them to vote their conscience, or again, encouraging or pushing them to vote what he wants, which is the PR system?
Well, as a political analyst, having listened to the presidential speech itself, I think it's more of an appeal, because it started by convincing the nation and everyone that actually it's for the good of the nation. But then he also came up with his own personal appeal to the MPs, the members of parliament, that they should vote. So I think for me, actually, if I were in this position, I should just say, okay, now, look, vote for your conscience, and then for the national development, and then we stop it there. Because actually what is going on here, Fabian, is something that has to do with if any amendment is made now, it will stand. And so it cannot just be, it's not a flimsy decision that we can just take and then tomorrow again we undo it. No. It means another amendment again that can undo whatever changes that we want to make now. So that is why for me as a political analyst, I look at the question of all the parliamentarians should actually look at what is here at stake. For example, if I look at it we talk about the PR system, it vows for political inclusion. But what did we see in the last election? We are seeing only two parties in parliament. So for me, that is why I stand to question the efficacy of the system, because when it purports that we want for political inclusion, but we have not seen much of political inclusion from the minor parties, we call them the fringe parties. Our parliament now is only two parties.
And we had NGC and C4C in the 5th Parliament before the PR system was introduced in 2023.
So this is exactly for our own point of view as analysts, we stand to question the efficacy of this system. Of course, I agree with the president on the issue of female empowerment. But already you have seen an act on gender empowerment already in vogue. And so it is there as a...
So minus the PR system, can the GUI Act on its own push or support women's empowerment and inclusion in the governance space?
It's already there.
So with or without the PR system, the GUI Act does it on its own?
It does already. It's an act of parliament itself, empowering women participation. And so I don't see where actually female participation can have what you can say a competitive advantage on the amendment. For me, this is exactly where I have not seen the nexus the link in between. This is exactly wherein, as an analyst, I look at a lacuna, a mismatch in the argument.
Sidi, let us bring you in for a while. Of course, you're from the opposition, and I know where your loyalty lies. While the ruling SLP is pushing for us to use the PR, the APC is strongly against it. But on what spirit are you rejecting this particular system? Democracy or political loyalism?
Well, I mean, it is what democracy itself is. Democracy is a system whereby the governance or the power should rest with the people to make choices about who they want as their representatives at every level. And for us, that is what we believe the first past the post does. It gives power and responsibility for the people to be able to make choices as to who their leaders should be. And as opposed to the PR system, wherein that power solely lies with political party leadership. And we have always profiled our justification for this. And, you know, it is interesting, most of the arguments that we have seen put forward are, you know, for example, oh, we want more women to be included, PR will enable that. Oh, we want to eliminate political violence, and we want to, you know, eliminate by-elections. And we, as a political party, you know, we have profiled solutions for all of those. Let us even talk about the issue of women representation. We can still achieve that with first past the post. We have said, okay, in every constituency, let us have minimum safe seats of 30% for women, wherein only women will contest. But in addition to that, they are also not excluded from contesting in the remaining 70%. They can still compete. But then we have a guaranteed 30% where only women can compete. So no matter what, we'll still achieve the 30%. Women empowerment as far as elected positions are concerned. But speaking to that, I always find it very difficult that we only want to limit the implementation of the GIWI Act to just elected and appointed positions. And I think we should go beyond that. The GIWI bill is not only for elected offices or offices wherein appointments are made. At every level of our society, we should ensure that happens. You come to AYV, look at their staff strength. Have they met the 30% of women working here? Go to the military, go to the civil service, go to the public service. These are things that we also need to focus on. But then coming to issue of violence, I have participated in politics for quite a while now in this country. The level of violence I saw in 2023 elections, where it was PR, I've never seen such violence.
You think the violence was orchestrated by the electoral system that was used?
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to say that violence has, the electoral system has nothing to do with political violence. You understand? Okay. No matter what the system, if we do not put structures and processes in place and ensure that we eliminate or we prevent certain things from happening, regardless of political system, we'll still have reoccurrence of those particular things happening. What we have always said, you know, that, you know, we pushed for political reforms for are the things that we saw happening, political manipulations, people, you know, blatantly rigging elections. You know, so these are our focuses. And the thing is, we always amend, but we do not hold people accountable and responsible for their actions. Now we are here blaming the Constitution, amending the Constitution, but then, you know, we're still trying to provide safeguards for people who have been responsible for making sure that we have credible elections. And in the process of that, we have trust issues. The constitutional amendment process, has gone through several stages. From the speech, it started way back with President Kaba, came to President Nkrumah, and now President Bio. And during this period, there have been several consultations. Technical committees have been set up, agreements have been made. But then when the bill got to Parliament, from the discussions, you saw that it clearly moved from what everybody has been saying, national interest, to political interest.
How did it move from there?
We saw statements, debate. From the debate, you clearly saw that everybody, people were trying to hold to their respective positions. And, for us, we looked at the general picture. We looked at position papers submitted by the public, from councils of paramount chiefs to interreligious council to civil society and to even our own consultations that we did across the country.
And what did those people say?
And people raised concerns about proportional representation, the lack of, representation in several communities. Okay. There are people in this country now who do not even know who is representing them. Okay. And we had statements wherein people told us that their representatives have said, we are not accountable to you. We are accountable to our parties. We are here representing the party. Our responsibility is to make laws, not to come to you and solve your problems. Right. So these are all concerns. The paramount chief said to us that during the first past the post, when they had issues in their chiefdoms, they will go to their representatives, speak to them to ensure that that issue is taken to the highest level. But now it is difficult for them because they cannot identify, some of them don't even have representatives in their chiefdoms because of the way the proportional representation
Let's examine your line of reasoning for a while. I mean, a while ago, the APC was quite enthused, to using the PR system. I mean, the Justice Cowan Constitutional Review Committee report was one of the biggest in this country. In fact, I remember President Nkrumah was quite, a strong advocate at the time to using this. In fact, the Minister of Information just posted this particular flyer, which consists of, the recommendation from the Cowan, committee, and also a recommendation from the CRC to using this particular system, which you, the APC at the time, backed. On Friday, before the President delivered a speech in Parliament, I spoke with Honorable Papa, and I challenged him on this, that it makes no sense to me, and I want you to make it make sense this morning, and that's why I'm asking this. Now, a while ago, in this same legislation that is being laid in Parliament, the President had actually proposed, even the Attorney General, the drafters of the Constitution, had said that, what if we start having independent candidates to run, for presidency in this country? In fact, in that speech that the President, when answering questions to Umaru Fofana, the first town hall we had in this country, the President said it, that it would make sense. In fact, he was even teasing Umaru Fofana at the time that when you're ready to run for presidency, you wouldn't need any party to run under. We should have independent candidates running for presidency, but Parliament kicked against it. Are we seeing a situation that lawmakers would only back something that benefits them eventually, and not the people of this country?
No.
I called it legislative hypocrisy when I was interviewing Honorable Papa on fire. Isn't that what it is?
No, but then you have to understand why, in fact, you want to amend Constitution. You amend Constitution because you want to solve problems.
What is the problem?
So that is where I'm coming. So that is why when amendments are proposed, you look at the merits and the demerits of those amendments. Now, you have to be very clear and understand, the processes constitutional amendments go through. I've had these arguments put forward many times that, during APC time, Justice Cowan recommended.
If you knew it was bad, why did you support it in the first place? That's why I'm asking.
You've asked me, I'm trying to answer. a CRC committee was set up. The committees made recommendations, just as the technical committee now have made recommendations at this present time. Recommendations do not mean position of government or position of particular political party. That is why when recommendations are made, they are taken to cabinet. The only way you will know that this is the position of the government is when you see the cabinet conclusion. And this is where I have personally challenged those who are pushing that no, you are reading recommendations, you are not reading the conclusion. If you read the cabinet conclusion, you will clearly see that cabinet kicked against that. The APC cabinet kicked against that. If you read the cabinet conclusion, you will clearly see that the APC cabinet then kicked against the 50+1.
On which grounds?
On the grounds that 55%, the drafters of the constitution of the 1991 constitution was very deliberate. They wanted an all-inclusive, whoever is to aspire for the presidency of this country must be able to garner support from every region in this country. And it will be very difficult for any candidate to poll 51% if you do not cross to another region that may not be within your stronghold. So what the government needs to do, during the debate, I heard people quoting from white paper. Oh, this was the APC white paper. I was in cabinet. I know exactly that we voted, and at that stage, it was sent to the cabinet secretariat. But what I do not know, and I don't think it happened, whether white paper ever came out under the APC, because this went to cabinet in 2017 when we were approaching the general elections. And the president mentioned it. It was taken to the government. The recommendations were taken in 2017, and then they came in 2018. So whatever white paper, if white paper indeed came out in 2017, it would have been in the Gazette. And that is not, the public would have seen it. But of course, that did not happen. So when I heard people quoting from white paper, I was one of those who challenged that white paper may not be correct, because I don't think a white paper came out in 2017 when the APC was in governance.
All right, Honorable Khan, let me bring you in. I will quote Sylvia Bladden on this. She says, the reality in front of Parliament is not 50% plus one, but simple majority, which means an SLP presidential candidate can become president with even a percentage as low as 37%.
And even an APC candidate. Thank you very much. Let me just deal with this. He's just talked about. White paper did come out. I was also in cabinet with him by the time. And we even went as far as to draft a bill.
At the time? That
was presented on the 31st of July 2017. That says that we change the threshold from 55% to 50% plus one. Honorable JFK was the Attorney General at the time, and he actually accepted that position when we were at the Truth Media studios. He said, yes, I drafted that bill. We couldn't have drafted the bill if there was no white paper. A white paper is a cabinet conclusion, so it came out. I don't know what he's referring to here.
But you know, these particulars,
let me come.
You want to?
Yeah, I know, I'm going to answer you now on that. What is in front of Parliament is a proposal. If the paper is saying, the bill is saying, simple majority, it's up to the MPs to make it 50.
But the president is already prejudicing the entire process.
No, he's not prejudicing.
Putting pressure on MPs, don't you think so?
He's not putting pressure.
Isn't that what that video was about?
No, if the president wants to pressure people, he would impose. He's not imposing anything. The video is that my position, as a leader of the SLPP, as a president of the country today, I know that the proposals that are in front of you are good. But vote your conscience. Where is the force? There's no coercion there. It's just saying that I want us to look at this thing dispassionately as Sierra Leoneans. come to it. But if you look at the whole series of things, all of these recommendations they are talking about have been proposed, and we accepted that.
Let's flip the coin around. You know, in the last parliament in 2018, we had more diverse parliaments. You know, 4 political parties were there, even including 3 independent MPs.
In the 2022, we had even more. Sorry, in 2002, we even had even more diverse parliament. We had more political parties in 2002 than we have in.
We tested the PR.
Yes.
During the 2023
2002 was
but
a
look
PR.
At what happened in Parliament.
2002 was PR.
Domination of only 2 political parties, the oldest in the country.
It is not
no other political parties survived. The smaller ones are there.
It is not the PR that.
So the frustration of a lot of them. Actually.
It is not the PR that has the problem.
You think so?
The threshold you set. So the threshold can be changed.
Was that intentional?
Well, if it is not intentional, it couldn't have been on the paper. So if they accepted it, the MPs accepted it, it did not pass like that without going through Parliament. Parliament, don't forget, what is Parliament? Parliament is a representation of all of us. The people who are in there are representing us. I can't go there, you can't go there, we all can't fit in there. So we choose people to represent us. We entrust them with that. Let me just answer something that His Excellent Reverend Father talked about. The Giwi Act. Yes, it is a good act, but it is a promise. Anybody can come and amend it. When it is in the Constitution, it's very difficult to change it. That is why we want to embed it in the Constitution. That is the reason why. So I think that explains why it is in the bill.
Reverend Father,
Yes.
he is saying the PR is not the problem. Sierra Leone used the PR system in 2002, and it brought a more colorful parliament than we've ever had, as you've said.
I was a beneficiary.
Yes, as you've said. So APC and SLPP, these are the 2 oldest political parties we have. They have institutional memory of the country's governance structure. Do you think it was intentional by both of them in Parliament to ensure that we have a very high threshold for 2023, defeating the benefits SLPP has communicated of the PR system as was seen in 2002? Do you think it was intentional?
I cannot actually sit here and say it was intentional. Only that I can say they should have foreseen that this could be the outcome, because the threshold, as you were saying, was high. I think it was 13%.
11.9.
11.9%.
It's too high.
It's too high. And so I was expecting that, actually looking at all the broader spectrum of political parties that we have, some of them don't even have party offices in some districts and some regions. So how can they garner votes there? So to answer your question directly, I cannot say it's actually deliberate, but I think they should have foreseen that this could be the outcome.
So they went from a high threshold to also now even calls to deregister other political parties who fail to win an election. It seems like a deliberate effort to leave Sierra Leone in the hands of just the APC and the SLPP.
Actually, as an analyst, I think that the proliferation of parties, at times some of them are just there as vuvuzelas. They cannot make that impact that can actually transform society.
Does that make them irrelevant entirely?
Not that they are irrelevant, but I don't want to use the word, they can be a nuisance to some extent, because let them form stronger coalitions, and we have limited parties, but we have up to 26 or so parties, and then some of them we don't even see what is the political maturity that they can bring into the political landscape. So for me, this is just not participating in politics for the sake of participation, but participation for the purpose of contributing to national development. So for me, this is why actually, for us to just have an open plethora of so many parties that they cannot make the necessary impact, why do we have them?
But C4C actually changed that narrative in a sense that they sort of almost controlled Kono. It changed that narrative.
Yes, Fabian.
For a new political party as it was, and again, amongst, though they do not, all of them, like to be referred to as smaller political parties, but still they were in the category of smaller political parties, and they were new, yet they controlled that level of success.
Yeah, but it was regional. You know, when we talk about we're talking of national politics. So you cannot just have your camp only in one little area, Kono, as a district. But then you need, if you really want to talk about national politics and national contribution, you need that broader perspective of representation outside of a limited landscape. So this is why, for me, as an analyst, I look at it from that point of view. It has to be national, not regional. The influences, they add greater influence in Kono. But then we have to transcend if we really want to make impact and contribute to national development.
Honorable Alpha Kanu, the president, again, is very clear about the PR system. He has communicated what he thinks are the benefits of the PR system, and he is strongly pushing for the PR system. But in Parliament, it would eventually come down to a vote. Neither side have the number to pass what they want. Neither side, whether the APC or the SLPP, for the voting, to have their say. How far, hold on for the question, please. How far is the president willing to go to get the PR system? Or how far is he willing to go for a compromise if he doesn't get the PR system?
Let me tell you one thing. The matter has been left with Parliament, and the President is going to abide by Parliament's decision. They are going to vote. If they vote yes, then it is yes. If they vote middle of the road and it calls for compromise, the President is willing to do that. He's open to look at things like that. So for me, I cannot say that his address yesterday is to say, absolutely, I want this thing to happen. He's appealing to the consciences of Sierra Leoneans, so looking at all the pros and cons between the first past the post and the PR system. I believe the PR is good for us at this stage of our development in Sierra Leone. So I would like you to vote your conscience, vote for Sierra Leone. My belief is that Sierra Leone will be better off with the PR system. That's what he's saying. But if they vote against it, he can't force it. He has not done that, never.
Reverend, what becomes of this bill in Parliament when what we've seen, there has been some compromise on both sides, but again, on the PR system, first past the post, there has not been a compromise. The APC still wants first past the post. The SLPP is pushing for the PR system. Yeah. They're still in the middle with the 55% or 50 plus 1. Again, it's going to be put to a vote. There are the Paramount Chief MPs there as well, with the APC and the SLPP. Yeah. If the APC votes what they want, the SLPP votes what they want, MPs perhaps, you never know where they would vote. What would become the outcome of this bill?
Of course, it depends on the votes. And according to, I think, it's 2/3 majority. I think that's actually what determines the passing of the amendment.
Which none of them conveniently accounts for.
Well, per se, per party, for example, because now as you're saying, both parties are holding uncompromisingly to their positions. But then, if there is a vote, there can be either way around that, some from the APC might switch camp, or some from the SLP might switch camp in the positions. But as for now, this is the position. Only that for me, what I see here at stake is that I can see that we have to transcend and look at national interest. For me, this is the overriding principle that I really want to throw to this house and to everyone listening to us, that, you know, we should transcend partisan politics. If we really want to achieve the national development of this country, I think we should think beyond that. Today I might be in office, tomorrow I might not be in office. For example, as you mentioned, I was head of the Department of Political Science at Robey College. I handed over to Dr. Mahmoud Terwali. So whatever I do, I have to think about the posterity. So this is exactly what should happen in politics itself. Not that because, well, we are here as opposition or we are here as a ruling party, And so we push our own agenda for our own personal interests. But we want to look at national interests for the posterity of this nation.
Do you foresee, is it likely for either side to win the voting process, or do you think there would be a stalemate?
Well, I can tell you, from what I have studied in politics, there could be three positions. That one, there can be a position in which the ruling party, because for the moment they have the majority actually, compared to the APC, but then it's not a majority that is sufficient enough to command the amendment itself. The APC can also have an option, because, for example, if they abstain from voting, what happens? We cannot have the two-thirds majority that's necessary, and so the amendment cannot pass. So this is why, for me, what I'm speaking here is, let us all just think nationally, and not for the moment that, well, I'm in opposition or I'm in the ruling party. Because it owes a lot to this parliament for the future of this nation. That is why I agree actually with the president that let us actually, as he's appealing, of course, I can see the direction of his appeal is for the PR system. But then I will rather also vouch that let us vote for what actually will benefit us, not only now.
What do you think would benefit us? This subject comes up
Fabian,
a lot, but few people are willing to express their own personal opinion or judgment as to what they think is best.
Fabian, for me, if I can critique the system, already I started critiquing the PR system, that we have not seen the positivity that actually has been trumpeted. What we have seen in the last election is that only two parties are in parliament. That is one. And then the issue of the gender empowerment and gender act is already there. And as Honorable African is saying, we want it to be entrenched in the Constitution, but it's already applicable. Then thirdly, what I see also is a problem of accountability of the parliamentarians. Even before the PR system, when we have the first past the post system, some of our parliamentarians, they only visit the constituencies. They only go when there is election time. And then they disappear and they come again for the next election round. So for me, this is exactly where the problem is, that the accountability, and remember, Parliament itself, it has a function of not only making laws and oversight, but also representing the people. But then, if really the PR system, what happens is allegiance is owed so much to the political party than to the people. So this is, for me, it's a mismatch. And in political thinking, in democracy, it's a government of the people, for the people, by the people. But if then the people, to some extent, are ostracized, then for me, the efficacy of democracy is not here. Because democracy is about the consent of the governed. It's their consent. But then if we see a situation here in which those who actually are being represented are not actually those are the stakeholders, in this case, this is where my question comes in as an analyst. That politically speaking, there is a lacuna, there is a gap. And if there is a lacuna, there is a gap, then why should we push it for?
IGR, for example, is proposing a hybrid system, merging the strengths and advantages of both systems into one system. Do you think that would work?
Well, Anila Valley is my colleague. We have been discussing and other things. For me, the hybrid system, let us first of all see the concrete manifestation of it in what direction, how it will actually be of an advantage to national development. We can have ideas, but then we have to concretize ideas to see their applicability. How is it going to be applicable in this situation? And Fabian, let us not forget, we are moving towards election year. And so everything here now is determined actually for, we all know, with all apology to politicians, we know if they all come and say we serve our people, but many times The fact actually is that personal interest overrides national interest. So this is why for my position here is I'm advocating for a situation in which national interest overrides personal or partisan interest. This is what I can say actually in few words.
Sidi, now that we are clear on where you stand on the electoral system, so the APC is still pushing for PR.
We've had a problem. Please try again.
The APC is pushing for the FTTP, whilst the ruling SLPP is still dogmatic about using the PR system. In fact, it's the preference of the president. But I want to ask something. Is APC okay with the threshold being suggested?
Thank you very much again. Before I get there, let me just say, the time I was in cabinet, Honorable Alpha Khan was not in cabinet, so he could not have been in cabinet when the recommendations were taken.
Who should we believe? Who should we believe this morning? Honorable Alhaji or CDI?
I'm just saying he was not in cabinet when I was there. When I was appointed,
so you're saying that
he was out of cabinet, and I know
there couldn't have been a white paper.
I know that the recommendations went. We debated the recommendations and we voted. There are conclusions, cabinet conclusions to the effect. And I know for sure that the only bill that have been drafted as far as constitutional amendments bill is the one presented now to Parliament by the current Attorney General and Minister of Justice. I will ask JFK to see the bill that he drafted, but I know for sure that this is the only bill that, is of my knowledge that has been drafted and taken to Parliament by, the current Attorney General and Minister of Justice. But to answer your question, I have to say several work has been done on the current bill.
Are you in favor of the 50%?
No, I mean we are only focusing on two things currently.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is a lot of work has been done, and the MPs have pretty much agreed on so many things in that bill. There are so many progressive things that they have agreed on. For example, we did talk about inclusivity. They've spoken a lot about women representation. They agreed on 30% reserved seats for women. That has been agreed on.
Do you think that's very necessary?
No, it is very necessary. Very, very.
Even though we have the GUI Act, why are these laws being passed in the first place? Are they white elephants?
It is
parties to include women. 10% quota for women.
So that was not part of our electoral laws.
Okay.
So it is important that we make it part of our electoral laws. That is why it is very much relevant.
Okay.
It is all geared towards implementing the GUI Act. But that is why earlier I said we should not limit the implementation of the GUI Act to just elections or appointments.
Okay.
It should go beyond that as to even the civil service and the public service.
So I ask again, 50+1, is the APC in accordance, in support, in solidarity?
No, because we don't think 50+1 in any way, will guarantee the kind of support, the national support that we want whoever becomes president of this country has.
So it will not guarantee the APC is not in support of that?
No, because then we are trying to push a situation wherein the president, can become president just by limiting himself to a certain region or to one or two regions. We don't think that will be nationalistic enough.
In simple terms, just so that the people understand what we're discussing. In essence, you're saying that the APC is not in support of the 50+1 threshold.
No, we are not. I mean, our position is that we should maintain the 55% threshold.
Right.
And as it is now in the bill, in fact, it is not yet 50+1. It is simple majority. So we don't think that is realistic, that is nationalistic enough. And the person to become president of Sierra Leone should be one that will have that national appeal, that national support. Okay. And we believe that in our democracy, that is what 55% guarantee us.
An hour ago, Umaru Fofana shared a thought on Facebook, and the Attorney General of this country commented underneath. I'll read you his submission. He said, I quote, "The updated bill in Parliament reads as 50+1. After meetings with the APC, they asked that we stick with the tripartite recommendation of 50+1. The same was their recommendation on the Kawan CRC. We agreed and tabled that before Parliament. Today's vote will be on the original APC proposal of 50+1, which government agrees with."
Okay, so let us...
You know, so there's a bit of bifurcation.
So let us again...
Things you had said earlier, you had agreed to, and, you know, now openly repudiating them in public.
So let us...
It would seem hypocritical, you know, political hypocrisy, if you like.
So let us discuss the hypocrisy here.
Okay.
You know...
Why don't you agree to this?
You know, no, I'm coming. Okay. You know, so we sit here always, we say, oh, we want to represent the people. Mm-hmm. I see people making references to the tripartite report, tripartite recommendations. Mm-hmm. The tripartite recommendation never said simple majority. They agreed. And then the bill that went to Parliament said simple majority plus 20% of 2/3. Mm-hmm. That was never the tripartite recommendation. So who started going against the tripartite recommendation? But let us even go beyond that. When the technical committee met, they agreed, for example, on the search and nominating committee to be set up for the appointment of the electoral commissioner. Mm-hmm. This was agreed. It was put in the bill. There was a retreat at Toke wherein the SLPP members of parliament openly, the leadership said, oh, we agree with everything that our AG has put in that bill. We are with the AG 100%. When we went to the well of parliament for the debate, the first person that spoke was an honorable member of the SLPP, the chairman of the legislative committee. He was the first that spoke. Okay. What was his first statement was to clearly speak against the search and nominating committee. This was agreed. So when they come, oh, the APC agreed, and now they're saying no. The first person that spoke in the well on this constitutional amendment, where they all said they agree with what the AG has put in the bill, 100%, was this chairman of legislative committee. So
this is double hypocrisy then?
Exactly.
So in essence, you're saying it's a kind of tattoo and yawa kind of situation. No, but people are excluded from these conversations.
What I'm saying...
Where do the people come in?
So what I'm saying is...
Where do the people come in all of these discussions you have?
Where the people come in is exactly why we are holding on to certain positions that we are holding on to.
Wouldn't it be frank to say that the APC is afraid of losing the election?
Let me come. You asked me where the people come in.
Yes.
In the tripartite recommendation 78, on the electoral system, the recommendation was the government should take it on a national consultation, which they did. I was at the Bintumani Conference Center where they ended the national consultation. At that conference center, the Council of Paramount Chiefs, which is one of the largest body of representation for the people of this country, did a PowerPoint presentation. They did not just submit a paper or a report. They did a PowerPoint presentation wherein they profile the challenges that they are facing with the PR system. And recommended, and recommended that for them is first past the post. The councils of the interreligious council followed. They presented their own paper, and this is also
against it.
This is also another huge representation of people. They kicked against PR. Civil society organizations also did presentation. It is also another huge segment.
Then where did this idea of PR come from?
So, to say that we are not taking the position of people. When you listen to all of these representative bodies, national representative bodies, and then also we being one of the largest political party in this country, taking this position, who is on the side, who is on the majority side?
Is it fair to say that you've excluded the voices of the people in this country? According to what CDA Tunis has just said, all of these bodies had presented their position papers. They had even made presentations, and they all denounced using the PR. Where did this idea come from? Are you shoving this thing down the throat of people?
Thank you very much. The representatives of the people are the members of parliament. Today they will decide. Every single district, every single chiefdom has a representative in there. I have 10 representatives in there from Port Loko district. They'll be speaking on my behalf. And 6 of them are from the APC. So the people have not been kept out. Finally, they have the decision. But now let me go back.
What is the sense behind asking people to draft position papers if they will not be regarded eventually?
Let me tell you something.
It's a waste of time.
Let me tell you something. You can equally say that it is a waste of time for the CRC of Justice Edmund Cowan to have been set up over 3 years, consultation, with over 20,000 radio jingles, with over 100,000 consultations, with 130,000 position papers, 130 position papers, for that to be put aside when they have recommended. And I say this, when my friend and colleague here speaks that he has a short memory. The election of the president, this is the recommendation that says that we, the APC, believe that 55% threshold for outright election of the president is too high. The Constitution should be amended to allow a presidential candidate who gets 50% plus 1 of the votes to become president. That isn't in the white paper. Now,
you're referencing the white paper?
I am.
Okay.
Then I also can confirm to him that I showed the bill that JFK, Honorable JFK, drafted on 31st July 2017 that was put before Parliament that says we want to change from 55% to 50 plus 1. It's a bill, a draft bill from the Attorney General's office. He will not deny it. I'm glad he says he's going to ask him. But then let me come back to 2 issues that came up while I was listening to all of you. The one is the chiefs, the chiefdoms. They say some chiefdoms don't have representatives. They misunderstand the concept of district representation. Every chiefdom is in a district. I come from Port Loko district. We have 10 members of parliament. They represent us. Instead of me just having a member of parliament from Lokomasama, 1 person, and I have 10 people representing me from Port Loko district. So I have a bigger number to go to. So when they say, I don't know my MP and all that, you don't want to know the MP. There's 10 of them we have in Port Loko, and that includes Abdul Kagbo, the leader of the APC in Parliament. Okay. Then also, the issue of this 2/3 majority. I was a member of Parliament before. I know that beyond this, the standing order gives, unless it is an entrenched clause. If it is not an entrenched clause, you go into election, 2/3 majority is prescribed. If at the first round of voting, you don't get it, they do a second round of voting, you don't get it. A third round of voting, you don't get it. On the 4th round, the standing orders tells you that it is simple majority. That is it. And this is what people are ignoring. It is in our constitution, it's in our standing orders, and Parliament regulates itself. So everything we do is according to what is written there. So I believe that we will get the 2/3 majority.
Would it hurt to have a hybrid system?
So, yes. But I'll come to
Who would
that.
it hurt?
Sorry?
Who would it hurt?
The hybrid will not hurt anybody.
Because
the
I
hybrid
had
you're
actually,
referring
as
to
Steve said earlier,
is a mixed member.
suggested this.
It's the mixed member. Mixed member. The hybrid that I'm thinking of.
Would it be bad?
Is
Would
the
it be
mixed.
bad?
Sorry?
Would it be bad eventually to have it used? for the next election.
But define it first. Yeah. What is this hybrid system you're talking about? The hybrid system that I know, it's called a mixed member proportional representation.
Okay.
We have 120 elected members of parliament now. You could divide it into two. So 60 of these, put them on the district block system. Okay. So you take care of the districts. The other 60, put them on a national list. So the whole country votes for them. And you lower the threshold to something like 2%, like they do in Denmark. That will allow every shade of opinion that has some representation. You get 2% of the vote nationally. You get the seats. For example, I just gave you the example of, say, 60 seats. Let's say 60 seats. If you get 3% of the votes, you'll have 1.8 seats. And 1.8 seats is that you get the highest remainder. So it means you'll get 2 seats out of it. So that is the kind of thing that you can be thinking about. So the mechanics of PR will be discussed and put in what is called an election PEA, Parliament Election Act, right? Public Election Act that will modify that. So they will spell out the kind of PR we can go into. And that PR could be mixed member or open list or something like that. What we are discussing today and we know about is open list. But there are other options that we can use which will work for us. So that is the kind of hybrid. And then finally, when you say that MPs are not close to their people because they are elected, we have a simple example in Port Loko. We have an MP called Honorable Rachel Mariatu Pesima. She represents the Tinkato Makama area. But she's all over the district. Yesterday I was with her to launch a boat, a fishing boat, that she had actually provided for the women, the market women of Port Loko town, Bakeloko, where she's not representing, if you look at it like that. But she considers herself an MP for the district. So she's working for every, I was with her yesterday, and we launched those boats for her. Right?
Sidi, I had asked Honorable Alpha earlier what the President, and obviously by extension I was referring to the SLPP side, is willing to compromise. You're pushing to take out the PR system. What if you don't win the voting process? The SLPP wins that and they have their way. There's the PR system. What compromises are you willing to settle with?
I mean, once it gets to the voting stage and the vote is done, there is no more compromise to be made. It means a vote has decided already on.
Would you accept the result and be at peace with it, or would you be resisting it?
If the voting process is within the confines of the provisions of the Constitution, yes. And, you know, this is where also we're beginning to become even more suspicious. You know, in the world, we had people who clearly attempted to go against what the Constitution says when it comes to what vote is required for constitutional amendments. We all know it's 2/3. It is not the same as what Honorable Alpha Khan is saying. I know I've never been a member of Parliament, but I also know as a politician, I know the Constitution. When it comes to constitutional amendments, entrenched clauses, once they gain the 2/3 from Parliament, they go to the public for referendum. Non-entrenched clauses, anything that has to do with constitutional amendments requires 2/3 majority of Parliament, members of Parliament elected, not even members of Parliament present in Parliament. That's what the Constitution says. And we had this argument during the removal of the Auditor General. This was a huge argument, you know, and the Speaker ruled then that for the Auditor General, removal of Auditor General is members of Parliament in Parliament at the time of voting. But for constitutional amendments, it's members of Parliament, you know, so parliamentarians elected generally, the 2/3 covers that. So that's where we are. So we'll see if the voting process is fair and in line with the Constitution, we'll accept the outcome.
Would you be participating in the voting or would you be abstaining?
Well, I'm not a member of Parliament.
When I say you, I'm talking about the APC.
Whichever the MPs do, you know, as long as it is not against the laws of this country, they will have our backing as a political party.
So what instruction has the APC given to its members of parliament? Do they have permission to vote or to abstain?
Let us don't forget that, you know, the APC has been part of this process from the onset, and this is where we do not like the way government representatives and the SL people are pushing the arguments. We have been part of this process from the onset. We have been part of the tripartite process. We have been part of, you know, the constitutional amendment process. Like I stated earlier, we've agreed on so many things in that in this bill that has been presented to Parliament. We've made several adjustments, you know, to, you know, our disagreement on two things, you know, does not mean we are against constitutional reforms or constitutional amendments. So to say that because we want to stick by what the majority of the people of this country want does not mean in any way that we want to be destructive. No, we just want to ensure that we are able to represent the views of the people in the way that we have gone around the country and have gathered what they really want, and that is what we are presenting.
You still have not answered the question I asked. What instruction has the APC given to its members of parliament? Do they have permission to vote, or are they instructed to abstain?
No, we do not give instructions to members of parliament when it comes to that. We elected them to parliament. Parliament, you just had honorable member of Honorable Alpha Khan. Parliament regulates itself. We don't give instruction to our MPs. You know, we sit as a political party. We look at, you know, the bill, and we agree, you know, that in the interest of Sierra Leone, this is our position as a political party. But when it comes to activities of parliament, we don't give them instructions as to what they do, how they go about their proceedings, because they have their standing orders. So it doesn't matter which instructions we give them. Their standing orders are what they use to regulate themselves. So that is why we don't give them instructions.
So should the public expect that the APC MPs would participate in the voting process today?
They have been participating, and they will participate today. Whichever way their participation takes, they will participate.
Reverend, if peradventure there's a stalemate, how would Parliament come to a conclusion, or how is Parliament to come to a conclusion as per the law?
I think they have to go back to deliberations. But maybe just to reference Syria, Tunisia, every parliamentarian is free in the House of Parliament, in the Will of Parliament, to express himself or herself. And so I think there could be a party position, but there could not be a party decision. Because each and every one of them is an individual with a free will, a volition to decide for himself.
But Reverend, that contradicts the boycott. The boycott was not a decision by the APC members of Parliament. It was a decision by the APC as a political party, instructing all their elected members to abstain from participating in governance, from the mayors to the all of them. So it did not come as a member of Parliament's decision. It came as an APC political party decision that their MPs had to comply.
Well, sorry, I cannot really speak for the APC party.
Yeah, but I'm saying that has been a situation that we've witnessed as a country, defeating the very submission that they are at liberty to make a decision of what they want to do in Parliament. We've seen a contradicting stance on that.
Yeah, well, that is exactly wherein the personal and free will comes in. Even though the party can make a decision, but then the individuals and they are, and let us not forget that they are members of Parliament, representatives of the people. And so it's what actually their own representation that matters there. The party can have its position, but the individual has its own free will or a free will to vote otherwise. And I think it's okay.
Honorable Khan, what would compromise mean?
Deliberations. He's right. to go back.
Is the SLPP willing to drop the PR
given.
if it comes to
disagree.
that?
Sorry?
Is the SLPP willing to drop the PR if it comes to that eventually today?
I can't speak for the SLPP until that situation arises. And
if it arises, would you support it?
Well, the country must move on. We can't have a stalemate. We'll find a way.
If there is a stalemate, what does the law prescribe to be the way forward? If the voting cannot decide today, what happens?
The law does not prescribe a way forward in that situation. It is the sagacity of the members of parliament and those who run the party that will now decide what to do. If we have entrusted the running of the country to them, so they must be able to find a way and clear that deadlock. When there was a deadlock with the work out of the APC in Parliament, we found a way. Maybe the ICPNC will step in again.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe I can just say something here. Okay. We may have to go back to the democracy of consensus. You know, in the political circles, we have the democracy of consensus, which is actually the typical African democracy.
How does that operate?
Yeah. It means that actually before, like for example, in our local areas, you know, we don't have this system of voting system. If like one person disagrees until he's convinced and the entire cohort or whatever, the council speaks with one voice. So this is, I think this is where we can come to, just in case, as you ask the question, in case you have a stalemate, we have to go back to deliberations until the House of Parliament together, they decide together, okay, you know, for the good of this nation, let us agree on this. Right. So today they may disagree, but that doesn't stop the entire process itself. There could be a rerun of the entire process through further deliberations and trying lobbying, or whatever we may call it.
Last week we had Honorable Givao, and he said if they cannot make a decision on what to do for the coming elections, it means we're stuck with what we already have.
Yeah. We have something already. If something new has not cropped up, then we still use what is there.
We're forced to use the old system.
Yeah. Right. We revert to the old system.
And the old system, what we have right now is the old would be the 2023 system.
Well, that is why we still, in the wisdom of the president, actually, we have still 2 years or more, or something above that. So that is why there is a possibility for us to go back and then review things before the elections. And that is what, in case there is a stalemate, that is what we can proffer as a solution.
Well, thank you so very much indeed. You want to read some messages?
Yeah, we do have a lot of messages here on our page. Ambassador Paul Oman Pikin says, which parts of this reform package will be decided directly by ordinary citizens through a national referendum? And when will civic education reach our markets?
Okay.
Tijan M. Kaikai says, the parliamentarians are just playing political games with this said constitution. But let it be in their minds that the evil that men do will leave with them. Still on these messages, Robin Fale says, the address of President Bio to the nation on the constitutional amendments is very timely. He spoke like a patriot and nationalistic leader. Mohammed Tomisise says, the PR system is quite within the interest of the political parties, not the interest of the ordinary Sierra Leoneans. Mystic Dwozak says the proposed constitutional amendment on the PR system versus the first past the post system has sparked a huge debate among Sierra Leoneans. Many argue that the 2023 elections did not deliver the political diversity promised by the PR system compared to the more diverse parliament that emerged from the 2018 elections, which included 4 political parties and 3 independent MPs. Ultimately, Sierra Leoneans are hoping that MPs will vote based on integrity, national interest and conscience, not political interests. Mystic Dwozak again says the constitutional amendment bill has sparked, well, that's the same message. Okay, these are some of the messages we would be able to factor in. But Bondoa Kaiwuma Tondone says, dear AYV television and viewers, it appears that many members of parliament are prioritizing the interests of their respective political parties rather than fully representing the voices and aspirations of the people of Sierra Leone. Given the importance of the proposed constitutional amendments bill, I believe the government should consider taking key provisions directly to the people through a national referendum. This would allow citizens to have their say on critical issues, including the proposed electoral system and the requirement for a 55% majority in the first round of a presidential election. Leaving the final decision solely in the hands of Parliament risks deepening political divisions and may not produce a broadly accepted or peaceful outcome. On a matter as fundamental as constitutional reform, the people of Sierra Leone should have a direct voice in shaping their nation's future. My concern is, if the two parties fail to reach agreement on 2 or 3 of the most important provisions of this bill, what will be the consequences for national unity, the credibility of the constitutional reform process, and the 2028 general elections? More importantly, how will any unresolved disagreements affect the confidence, welfare, and democratic rights of the citizens of Sierra Leone, who will ultimately bear the consequences of these decisions? Constitutional reform should not be about political advantage. It should be about building a fair, stable, and democratic future for all Sierra Leoneans. And my final pick is from Koka Alusain, who says, Sierra Leone has made significant progress in strengthening democracy over the years, but there is still room to improve the country's electoral system. One proposal that deserves serious national discussion is the adoption of a proportional representation, PR, electoral system. A proportional representation system is designed to ensure that political parties receive seats in parliament based on the percentage of votes they receive nationwide or within electoral districts. This means that every vote carries greater value and more accurately reflects the will of the people. Supporters of PR argue that such a system can promote fairness, inclusiveness, and national unity. It allows smaller political parties and underrepresented groups to gain representation if they receive meaningful public support. As a result, Parliament can better reflect the diversity of opinion and communities across Sierra Leone. Another advantage often associated with PR is that it encourages political parties to campaign across the country rather than focusing only on a few constituencies. Now, this can help strengthen national cohesion and encourage leaders to build broad-based support. A PR system may also encourage dialogue and cooperation among political parties when different political groups are represented in Parliament according to the votes they receive. There is often a greater need for consultation and consensus building on national issues. This can contribute to more inclusive governance. At the same time, any proposal to change Sierra Leone's electoral system should be carefully examined. Electoral reforms require broad public consultation, constitutional and legal review where necessary, and agreement among citizens, political parties, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders. Every electoral system has its strengths and challenges, and any reform should aim to strengthen democracy, accountability, and public confidence. Ultimately, the future of Sierra Leone's electoral system should be determined through a peaceful democratic process and informed national dialogue. By engaging in constructive discussions about electoral reform, Sierra Leoneans can continue working towards a democratic system that reflects the aspirations of all citizens and supports lasting peace, justice, and development. These are the messages from our online viewers. Your response to these messages? I'll start with you, Reverend.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the people that, first of all, they listen to AYV and they are concerned about this process that is taking place because it shall shape the future of this nation politically. And their concerns are actually relevant, that we have to actually think nationally and not partisan politics. I think at the end of the day, what benefits the nation, I think, should be prioritized, and not what the party will accrue as benefits, personally, either the SLPP or the APC. So that's my take.
I'll give you the last one. Well, I mean, we are encouraged by the level of interest we see from people across this country. Fabian, we have maintained that, you know, first past the post is more representative and broad-based manner in which people participate in electing their officials. With PR, the issue of independence is difficult. First past the post, we've seen where people are denied symbols, but because their constituents want them, they elect them as independent candidates. And also this issue about giving opportunities to smaller parties. I've been in gatherings wherein I have maintained that even as it is now, if we do not strengthen those smaller parties to give them, you know, the strength to be able to compete, even if we reduce the threshold to 5%, it will still be very difficult to see more parties in parliament. You know, because let us see the voting patterns for the past couple of elections. It is very difficult, you know, for smaller parties to even attain 2% or 3% because of the level of strength. So it must be our responsibility to ensure that political parties are strengthened, to ensure that they have more representation across the country, you know, before we even start talking about, you know, reducing thresholds to guarantee more inclusion, you know. So as it is now, we don't really think that will be the case, even if we reduce the threshold to 5%.
For me, broader representation is guaranteed by PR first past the post. First, in the PR, every vote counts. Whether your candidate is the first candidate in the list or not, you still have a member of parliament representing you. So for me, I believe that this is the way to go for Sierra Leone. And if we want to bring in more other groups to come in and be represented, it is the threshold that we have to deal with. Then, of course, there is the mixed member PR system, which guarantees more than the participation of smaller parties. This is not new. They practice it in Senegal. They practice it also in Denmark. In Guinea, it's a mixed member. Some districts are secluded, and then there is a national vote for everybody where you can participate. So if you're not strong in any one particular district, but you have presence in all the districts, there's a chance that you could get 1 or 2 seats in there. So smaller groups, like even the Creole Descendants Association, they can also now have a group, a party under the mixed member, and be represented in parliament. It gives an opportunity to a broader group of people to be in parliament.
Right. Well, thanks indeed, Honourable Sidi Tunis from the APC, and the Reverend Father, the academic from University of Sierra Leone. On the program now, we'll join Maria Samura for
Sports update.
Right.
Good morning, Maria. What do you have for us in sports this morning?
Good morning, Fian, and good morning to Victor Jones. Well, for a sport update this morning, we have 3 representatives in Sierra Leone that will be representing the country in the international platform, where we start off with the champions of the runners-up of the Sierra Leone Premier League, who are Star Sports Academy. They will be representing the country in the maiden edition of the 2026 CAF Champions League preliminary qualifiers. Well, they will take on the champions of the Gambian Football Federation, that is Medina United FC. This match will represent Star Sports Academy debut in African most prestigious club competition, an exciting milestone as they embark on their quest for continental success. Meanwhile, Sierra Leone FA Cup winners East Lions FC are also set to face Côte d'Ivoire's AF Amadou Diallo FC in the preliminary rounds of the 2026 Total Energies CAF Confederation Cup. Well, the Killers will be aiming to make a strong impression as they seek to advance further in the tournament and as well showcase Sierra Leone football talent on the African stage. And for the women's category, the draw for the CAF Women's Champions League WAFU A qualifiers in the Gambia has been completed. Well, Group A futures, UFAS from Mali, you have Algiers de la Madina from Senegal, and Dita Mingals FC from Liberia. And Group B, you have Barilink FC from the Gambia, you have AS Bolanta from Guinea, and Sierra Leone's champions, Mogbemo Queens. They'll be putting a stellar performance as they represent the country in the continental stage. And quickly for the Sierra Leone Men's Premier League Awards, it was an exciting moment over the weekend where accolades were presented to deserving players and officials who did tremendously well in the past Leone Walk Premier League. Well, the next season is set for October 3rd, 2026. Well, that's it for sport updates. Over to you, Phoebian and Victor.
Thank you very much, Marie Esther Samura, for the sports update. Well, as we round off, Reverend, you're a political scientist and you're also a Sierra Leonean. This situation, the outcome of it would determine how it would set the tone for peace and national cohesion, especially as we do pre-elections preparations for 2028. What would be your call to the SLPP-led government, the APC as main opposition, the paramount chief members of parliament, and Sierra Leoneans generally?
Generally, from a political analyst position, I will actually appeal to everyone, especially those that are going to decide on our behalf in parliament today, to put the nation first. Because if we prioritize partisan politics, today you can be in office, tomorrow you can be out of office. And so it can be either way around. What may benefit you today may disadvantage you tomorrow. So that is why, for me, the best thing that we can do is let us vote with the national interest in mind and to see that what will actually benefit all of us in the long run. I think this is, for me, is the final message I can send home. It's a difficult thing, as we can see the positions being held by the two parties, and the public itself is divided. But what I can appeal for is that let us just prioritize the nation first, and not political party first.
All right, thank you very much, Reverend, for your time with us this morning as well. And your parting courtesies, gentlemen. Honorable Alpha Khan would get you your parting courtesies to the public and the SLPP. And then
okay, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Tunis, it would be the public and, of course, the supporters of the APC.
If you don't mind, I'll speak in Creole, because I'm speaking to the public this time.
Okay.
The people live. What we need in Sierra Leone are peace and security for national development. The PR, they remove the violence come out by elections. 7 situations we don't get to since 2023 for by-elections. But because there are no by-elections, nobody will die, nobody knows. But the PR provide for smooth replacement of members of parliament. For lady one day when they talk, say, we not sabi with MPs, you sabi them. Now understand and I don't understand what's in the concept of a constituency. Constituency, not a small village or chiefdom. A constituency can be anything, not a number of people. In Sierra Leone, according to the last constituency delimitation, the limit is 35,000 people. So anything between 35,000 and 40,000 people, max a constituency. So if this room was out, 35,000 people they say in a constituency. Or if the whole of Freetown, now only 35,000 people they say in one constituency. But when we make it into districts, we take the population of the district and give it the number of seats where we get. Like we in Apotloko, me na 10 MPs I get, not one. If na the table you go from first past the poll, now one I will get. Now only Abdul Latif before be me MP. But now then 10 I get, because now the district they represent me. I get 10 MPs. So anytime you get problem, no look for the way they near you. Now the one we first see, go kitchen. Now the person now and you for talk to. Now you MP. And they should know that they represent the whole district. And representing the whole district, you get for the yesterday, Rachel Pesima, Honorable, we come out in Katuba. He go launch one fishing boat, na Bakeloko, who's I know we know they represent for the market women in Potloko. Right? She spent over 350 million Leone doing that because she is a district MP and she's doing that. Honorable Sanko Yila, if they go na Potloko, if they go do things then for we, they bring solar lights, they do all sorts of things because he's a district
Honorable,
MP.
I'm so sorry to interrupt you
issue.
there. We'll have to manage your time. CD, your turn.
So I will do the same, talk Creole to our people. We family them. We don't do plenty work by this constitutional amendment. We don't agree on so many things that they make progress for this country. We don't decide now, they talk about which type electoral system we for use. Plenty people, they say PR more representative, but previous election results, they don't show say that they not to the case. And we also, they read and say first past the post, they bring several violence. We also don't feel saying our electoral system, they cause violence. Now, more man than they cause violence. So whether we get PR or first past the post, if we not put measures them in place and hold people accountable, violence around the elections not go done. Even in internal elections, then we'll not get no political system where they see plenty violence them. So not to that one day. The makeup of even with political party structures currently based on constituency systems. Now that make we get ward executive, constituency executives then. Now people they talk about, oh, PR not get by election. And this is where the issue of mixed system will come in. Let we do waiting go work for we as a country. Even under first past the post, we can decide for do a ticketing system. Where in what they do with primaries, we get 2 names. When we win, the primary go. If anything happened to that person, the secondary person can come in from the same constituency. And if now woman back, another woman will come in and represent her without by-election. Now that make where they do amendments for do them in a way where it go work for we as a country. So this thing day before Parliament, we can still do that, but we feel say first past the post. Now in the give honor the people and the strength for get involved in choosing the one that we want for make the represent una. Now that make we as a political party feel say we forgive una that power they back. Not to we the political parties then forget the power, forgive una who that for represent una. But una the people that una forget the power for choose. That is why we they support the first past the post system.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time with us this morning. Obviously, AYV would broadcast live the sessions there and keep you updated on what's going on in Parliament. But as we try to round off, as we talk about representation, a reminder to the general public that Mariam Loba Kone, our Miss World Sierra Leone 2026 representative, on Saturday departed the shores of Sierra Leone with her heart filled with beauty, purpose, and determination to bring the crown home. Now, as she proudly represents the country at the 73rd Miss World pageant in Vietnam. Our former AYV Miss University Sierra Leone 2022 entrepreneur, final year banking and finance student at IPAM, Mariam, has distinguished herself through her entrepreneurial and humanitarian work, supporting women and young people through business opportunities, skills development, and menstrual hygiene initiatives. As she takes Sierra Leone's beauty, culture, and aspirations to the global stage, Mariam carries with her the hopes and support of a nation. Her journey represents more than a quest for the crown. It is an opportunity to inspire young Sierra Leoneans and showcase the talent, resilience, and potential of the country to the world. Mariam is Miss Sierra Leone first runner-up for 2025, and the pageant organizers, Miss Sierra Leone Limited, have communicated to the public that they couldn't hold the Miss Sierra Leone 2026 event. So Mariam was ultimately selected as the representative for Sierra Leone to participate in Miss World after the Miss Sierra Leone 2025 winner Lacheve represented Sierra Leone last year in the 72nd Miss World pageant. This year, because there's no Miss Sierra Leone for 2026, Mariam Kone, who is the Miss Sierra Leone first runner-up for 2025, is representing Sierra Leone at Miss World. Well, that's about all we have time for in today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Thanks to you, our lovely audience, for tuning in. Thanks to our guests for being a part of the program. And thanks to our sponsor, Rokel Commercial Bank, for their support to the program, and all the advertisers supporting Wake Up Sierra Leone and AYV Media Empire generally. We've been your presenters. I am Phoebe Swill, wishing you a blessed day and a productive week.
And I am Victor Jones. I pray the country wins eventually. Goodbye.